The shadow in the hallway. The lights went out just as Mia reached for the television remote. The hum of electricity faded, leaving the house in a deep, unnatural silence. She sighed and reached for her phone, switching on the flashlight. The narrow beam of light danced across the walls as she walked to the kitchen to find candles. She paused in the hallway. For a moment, she thought she saw a shadow move at the edge of the beam. She froze. "It's just my imagination," she whispered to herself. Taking a deep breath, she pointed the flashlight back, but nothing was there. The air felt heavier now, like the house was holding its breath. She quickened her pace, grabbed a candle from the kitchen drawer, and lit it with trembling hands. As she turned to head back to the living room, the sound of faint footsteps echoed down the hallway. Mia's heart raced. She was home alone. She stepped closer to the doorway, peeking out into the dark hall. "Hello?" she called, her voice shaking. The footsteps stopped. A figure stood at the end of the hallway, barely visible in the flickering candlelight. It was tall, with long, spindly arms that seemed to stretch unnaturally. Its head tilted to the side as if watching her. Mia's scream caught in her throat as the figure took a step closer. She bolted to the front door, fumbling with the lock. The footsteps grew louder, faster. Just as she got the door open, the candle blew out, plunging her into darkness.
Story 2, The Whispering Wind. On nights like this, when the power went out, Raj liked to sit by the window and listen to the wind. It had a soothing quality, like an old friend telling stories. Tonight, however, the wind carried something different, a faint, eerie whisper. He leaned closer to the glass, trying to make out the words. At first, it was soft and unintelligible, like someone speaking from far away. But slowly it grew clearer. "Raj, come outside." His stomach tightened. He looked out into the night, but the street was empty, the houses dark. It had to be his imagination. He shook his head and sat back in his chair, but the whispering didn't stop. It grew louder, more insistent. "Raj, we're waiting." Heart pounding, he drew the curtains and tried to ignore it. But then came the sound of soft tapping against the glass. He froze, every muscle in his body tense. Summoning all his courage, he yanked the curtain open. Nothing was there. But when he looked down, he saw footprints in the mud outside his window. Bare, human footprints leading away into the dark woods.
The locked door. Sarah was alone in her grandmother's old house when the electricity went out. The house was already creepy with its creaky floors and dim lighting, but in complete darkness, it felt alive. She lit an oil lamp she found in the pantry and carried it carefully through the house. As she moved past the basement door, she heard a faint thud from behind it. She stopped. The basement door was locked. It had been for years. Her grandmother always said it was unsafe down there. "Just the house settling," Sarah told herself. But then it came again, a louder thud, followed by a dragging sound. Her hands shook as she backed away. Suddenly the door handle rattled violently. "Sarah!" a raspy voice called from the other side. "Let me out!" She screamed and stumbled back, dropping the lamp. Darkness engulfed her as the sound of scratching against the door filled the air. The door creaked open a crack and Sarah ran, not daring to look back.